Hello. In this video, I would like to talk about the changes that have been introduced to our system with the new software version, the October 2025 release. The first change that will be visible to administrators is the new Payments tab. Due to the automation of the payment process in FlexiProject, this tab will be used to manage payments and the number of purchased licenses. What do we see here? This module is dedicated to our SaaS customers who have purchased our system. In the center, we have all invoices issued for using FlexiProject, along with their status and the option to download each one. If you wish to stop using FlexiProject, you can unsubscribe and cancel payments. The same applies to managing the number of licenses. Here we have information about when the current payment period ends, depending on the billing cycle, annual or monthly, along with the number of licenses we currently have purchased. If we were to change this number and increase it, the system would automatically calculate the additional amount due for the new licenses, letting us know the exact additional cost for these extra licenses within the current billing period. Clicking Accept here will confirm the change, and a corresponding invoice will be issued immediately. A quick and seamless way to adapt to new demands within your organization. We can also reduce the number of licenses if we wish to scale down. When we decrease the license count compared to our previous subscription, the system will update the data and the new rate will be applied to the next payment. It's worth mentioning that we can only reduce the license count to the number of users who currently hold a full license in the system. This means we can only remove licenses that are not assigned to any active user. Therefore, with 3 users currently assigned a full license, to reduce the license count, we would first need to either remove these users or change their license type. On the right side, I can see a summary of my payments and details about my next payment for the upcoming billing period. This amount will automatically account for any changes in the number of licenses we make. I have the specified dates of this billing period, as well as the details of exactly how much I will pay for my licenses. If I want, I can switch between monthly and annual payment plans. The annual subscription includes a dedicated discount for paying upfront for the entire year. After selecting a specific payment type, I will immediately see information here showing how my next billing period will be adjusted. The system clearly shows the calculation of how much you will save with the annual billing plan. After clicking Save, this data will be updated, and the next payment will be processed according to your selected option. Here we can also update the company details for the invoice recipient, along with the email address where the invoice should be delivered. Another new feature that appears in our system is the ability to create a project with AI support. The AI will help us draft the initial schedule outline. At this stage, when creating a new project, I can select the option to set up a project using AI. The system will then prompt me to write or paste a text description, based on which the new project will be generated. The maximum allowed length for this prompt is 500 characters. Indeed, it will be a rather concise description, but we believe this feature will facilitate and accelerate starting new projects. This is particularly useful when we already have initial ideas about the project structure and a preliminary timeframe in mind. I already have a prompt prepared, which I paste here. I would like the project to be about the implementation of a CRM system. When I click Generate, the system will return a proposed task list with suggested start and end dates, as well as subsequent phases. Each element will also have proposed task descriptions. If we enter the Gantt chart view, we will see that we have created a sequence of actions with tasks following one another. Here, if we go into the details, we can, of course, edit such a project as we wish. Another change introduced in the FlexiProject system concerns the user interface. First, we now have the option to adjust regional formats when using the English language. You can choose between United Kingdom or United States conventions for dates, times, and other region-specific information. A quick customization that simplifies daily work. Previously, we had a unified system for things like dates and calendar display. If we are from a specific region, we can adjust the settings to better suit local date formats and calendar display preferences. Another available option is the ability to enable two-factor authentication for enhanced account security. If this option is enabled, the system will require an additional authentication step after login. A verification code will be sent to your email address, which you must then enter in a specified browser window to gain access to the system. This provides an extra layer of user authentication. Two-factor authentication can be enabled either by individual users or mandated globally by your organization. The system allows each user to enable or disable this two-step verification for their own account. However, system administrators also have the option to enforce it across the entire organization. If two-factor authentication is enabled for the entire organization, then as a user, you will no longer have the option to change this setting. Another change involves user permissions for the Portfolios tab and project programs. In the new version, the Project Programs section has been moved from the Projects tab and is now a dedicated item in the main navigation sidebar. If I navigate to the Access Settings and System Permissions, I can now see dedicated permission options for both the Programs and Portfolio tabs, where I can configure additional access rights. Here, users have a broader scope for action. If the creator permission is enabled for programs, a user with a full license will be able to create new programs. In the case of member, they will be able to see the programs they are assigned to, and in the case of management, they will be able to freely edit all elements and have access to view all programs. For the portfolio, it works similarly, so project managers will now have more freedom in creating project programs or portfolios without needing to grant them administrative permissions to the Projects tab, as it was before. Additionally, we can manage access to specific project portfolios. This is done by selecting a particular portfolio where we want to modify the access settings. In the Settings, we can see the Permissions tab, which allows me to edit the access of different people. The people we see here, who are highlighted, have administrative permissions, and therefore, by definition, have permissions to act in this portfolio. However, if we want to add a new person without granting them global portfolio permissions and only wish to provide access to this specific portfolio, we can do so by assigning them edit rights for that particular portfolio. After clicking Save, the access will be granted. The same principle applies to project programs. After entering the programs, we will enter a sample project program. When I click Settings, I see that I have the ability to assign and edit various permissions in exactly the same way. It is useful in that project managers, who will have the creator function here, will be able to create project programs for their own projects. For example, if there are dependencies between projects. Another change that will be visible in the fields related to the schedule will concern the ability to collapse. We can now perform mass actions, such as collapsing all tasks or expanding them to a specific nesting level. Previously, we could only collapse individual elements. This makes navigation much easier, even within highly complex and detailed schedules. Currently, if I want, I can either collapse everything or expand it. If we had more nested elements, we would have information about the possibility to expand to level 2, 3, 4, and so on. The next change will concern project documentation, project charter templates. If I open a sample project charter and navigate to the task list view, I now have enhanced capabilities. Beyond the existing filtering options, which remain unchanged, I can also display additional columns containing specific data related to these tasks. For example, baseline end date, and we also have the option to sort, for instance, by end date, specifying whether it will be sorted from smallest to largest or from largest to smallest. This is the default sorting that will be assigned to the project charter. When we edit the project charter, we can of course change the sorting in our view. However, after refreshing the project charter we are working on, the display will revert to the default sorting we have set here. This means the project charter will not only show tasks with their names, but we will also be able to display additional information about each task in the view. Another change implemented in our system concerns reports. Specifically, reports for budgets, products, and the project plan now include the ability to sort and search by the portfolios to which they are assigned. For example, if I want to search for product elements assigned to a specific project portfolio, I can apply the filter, and they will immediately appear as a ready report. This report can then be saved or shared with other team members in the organization. The next change concerns reports for tasks. In the case of a task report, after creating it and editing its view, we are now able to display information regarding the deviation of the start date from the last baseline plan. Previously, we could only track this deviation in relation to the end date. Now we can also track deviations against the start date. If a task begins later than planned in the baseline, the report will clearly highlight these delays. This is a very useful feature for monitoring schedule adherence. Another change for new users in our system is the ability to enable or disable the Introduction to the System tutorial. From now on, new users added to the system will receive a series of short introductory emails over a brief period. These guides will explain how to start working in the system and utilize its key functionalities, and they will include links to instructional videos. However, we are always able to disable this option. If a user decides they do not want to receive such emails, they can simply disable these notifications here. Another change concerns our contextual help window, which assists users in navigating the system at every stage. If we go to the top right corner, we see the traditional list of help elements. However, if videos are available for a specific topic, users can now access them directly from this level. With this change, users now have access not just to text-based guides, but also to videos that clearly demonstrate how to work within our system. This provides quick and clear explanations of its functionalities. Those are all the new features in the FlexiProject system. I hope these updates will enhance your experience while working with our software. As always, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new content. Wishing you successful and productive work with the FlexiProject system.